Oh man, it looks like a Muppet on meth. What's happening, my fellow ghouls and ghoulettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Chris's Custom Collectibles, and today it is the big guy. We are going to be pimping out the Neca Halloween 2018 quarter scale Michael Myers. Now, this figure is beautiful right out of the box. This thing is massive, he's heavy, he's good quality, and he comes with some very neat accessories that I'll show you guys in a minute. But the overall idea of customizing this guy is the mask and one side of the coveralls, because we're going to be converting him from the Halloween 2018 look to the Halloween Kills look. So we're going to be doing the burn recreations on half of his mask and also his coveralls, and adding a few extra bullet hits and a bit more trauma, as well as doing the bandaged left shotgun hand. So I guess the fiddliest thing is going to be the mask, and I am going to be using real hair. I'm going to be using brown crepe hair for this guy. And then we're going to be going in and doing the burn details on the mask with a Dremel, with an engraving tool. So I'm really looking forward to this. As soon as I saw this guy, I needed him and I wanted to do a custom collectible on him. I'm recording this before seeing Halloween Kills, so this video has been released since seeing Halloween Kills, and obviously you guys have seen my review, so it's weird talking about it now, not seeing Halloween Kills yet, but by the time this is out, it's already happened. Now, I have gone ahead and dissected the head, and the beautiful thing is it all pieces back together like a jigsaw. But I gotta show you guys up close how this thing dissects and what it looks like underneath, because holy shit, you think this is nightmare fuel? Wait till you see what's under that mask. So first things first, I'm gonna show you guys the accessories and then give you a nice close-up of dissecting the mask, and then we're gonna get started on this big guy. So in terms of the accessories, it's pretty minimal but pretty effective. We have the lovely Officer Francis head, aka Christopher Nelson, the makeup artist and creator of the mask for Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. So that is very, very cool. We have 3 extra hands. These are all left hands, and a hammer. He does have a knife, but he's sporting the knife as we speak just over here. So I'm going to be utilizing the shotgun left hand and the right holding hand and the knife. In terms of these guys, no work's going to be needed on, but just wanted to show you guys the accessories it comes with. Again, pretty minimal, but pretty effective, especially this piece. This piece is gnarly. So the head is on a swivel, which is awesome because you can do his trademark head tilting. So we're just going to pop the head off like so. Now I'm just going to move him out of the way. So the hair is glued on separately. It's not actually part of the sculpt. So you probably do need to get like a flathead screwdriver, nothing too sharp, and you can pry it apart and it will come off like so. So originally I was gonna grind this hair down until he was bald, but because we have a hollow cavity in there, not a good idea. And just absolute worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out with using real hair, this is a backup. But what we're going to be doing is filling this void here with putty and sculpting the actual scalp of the head. Now you will need to do some more unprying, and that is to take the mask off the actual eye plate. Now when I show you what's under here, it's really something. Are you ready? Look at that. How horrifying is that? That is more horrifying than that, in my opinion. Oh man, it looks like a Muppet on meth. So in terms of the eye plate, it's fine. I'm really loving the detail on it, especially his mangled left eye. It looks really cool. But most part, we're gonna be focusing on this piece here. So we do have to pop this eye plate back into the mask, and it slots in like so. I'm also gonna be tightening the neck just a little bit, and also just cutting the littlest bit off the actual bottom of the neck here, just to kind of bring it all together. And just the neck bulks out a bit too much, so it's just gonna be a matter of slicing some excess off here, pulling it together with some glue, and then that'll make the neck nice and streamlined. So after we do that, we're then gonna be grabbing some putty that will be setting to a sandable material. So we're gonna fill this piece in here, and you can smooth this stuff down with water, which is great, and it gives you ample working time as well, because we really want to get that perfect head shape. Now I am going to be cutting this lip off here that the hair rests on, sorry for that matter. If worse comes to worse and we have to gut this guy and use the stock hair, which I highly doubt because I want to see this fucker through. I want this to have real hair. We're just going to remove that excess lip because it's unnecessary in terms of getting the proper head shaped when we sculpt it. So we got the first few steps in place. So with that being said, let's get to it. Alrighty, overall pretty happy with how we've gone with shaving the neck down. So originally I said I wanted to cut some excess right down here and bring the neck in, but what I've found is the actual overall mask needs bulking out like so, just all over in general. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and pre-marked them. We're actually going to angle the back of the mask like so. So this piece here needs to be removed with a Stanley knife. And then as you see here, I've drawn out some grooves here of where the separation points need to be. If I can just hold it in place, just having that little bit extra like that gives much more of a screen accurate look in terms of the width of the mask. And once we go in with our sculpting material, it's just going to bring the whole head sculpt together. So our next step is we're just going to remove this excess here and get some cheap and nasty super glue and glue the back in place. Okay, it is now time to fill the back cavity of the head in and re-sculpt the top of the dome. So what we're going to be using is Kneaded. This is from Sellies, this is from Bunnings Warehouse. If you're somewhere else in the world where you don't have this brand, it's essentially just a polymer repair compound. Other brands would definitely make it. It's one of those things where it's like an epoxy kind of sculpt thing, much like epoxy sculpt. So you've got about 5 or 10 minutes working time. It's in foil and it's an outer piece and an inner piece, and when you mix the two together then they start the reaction. And the good thing is this can be smoothed down with water, so I'm going to try my best to work as quickly as possible. There's not much to fill in, it's more or less just getting that head shape right and also maintaining that hairline. I don't want to lose that hairline marking there. Now I also do have some sculpting tools here. Now the good thing is when this stuff is dried, it's sandable, so if we have too much we can just sand it back, which is totally fine. So again, we're going to try and work as quickly as possible whilst using our sculpting tools, and I also have a little cup of water on standby if any smoothing down needs to happen. Holy shit, this stuff stinks. Okay, so after a bit of sanding, the head is nice, smooth and shaped. Get it? So what I've done is I grabbed a fine permanent marker and just marked out where we're going to be dremeling the chunky parts of the burns, like where there are parts of the mask missing. Obviously we've got the gunshot here, and we have this burnt out piece here and 2 burnt out holes here. So for the rest of it, it's just more or less using the engraving tool and doing it bit by bit to try and make it look like melted latex and it's singed and burnt, especially on the ear. The ear is so deformed on this mask. So I'll be using my Trick or Treat Studios mask as reference with our Dremel, with our Ryobi rotary tool. So we're going to be using a fine engraving point because I really want to take my time on this. So we do utilize the fact that the knitting needle hole is there and it kind of burns down and opens up the bottom of the mask here and singes it all down there. Now I don't know how well you guys can see it, but I've gone ahead and marked the extra bullet holes on the coveralls and also this massive slash mark that Michael has on his left hand. Obviously he got these from a member of the mob at the end of the film where they do the beat down on him, and there are 2 bullet holes down here too. So they're just marked with black permanent marker, but I will be engraving in them. And obviously when we go to extra weather the coveralls and do the burns on here, I'll be adding the blood and gore effects aspects here. And keep in mind, we're also going to be weathering his boots because these are just way too clean. We've got to muddy these up and do a bit of charring on this side of the boots here, and a little bit of just soot up this side of the coveralls here to lead up to the major burns on the coveralls. But I gotta say, that is gnarly. I love the stock look of this. It's so disgusting. You can see like tendons and the shininess. It's beautiful. Okay, we are now ready to start repainting the mask. So first step is we're gonna re-dry brush on some base white. We're gonna be using a titanium white from Liquitex. And what I love about this stuff, it is very thick bodied, or in this case, heavy body acrylic. And again, you just want some sparingly on your brush. You don't have to worry about the burns at this stage. It's more or less just the rest of the mask where the white still remains. So the next step after this is we're gonna water down some yellow acrylic paint. And we're gonna do all the highlights around the nose and the eyes and whatnot, even the ears and at the base of the neck as well, just to get those nice highlights happening. And then we're also gonna water down an orange acrylic and mix it in with the yellow watered down acrylic. And we're gonna wash it into the burn areas because it is sort of like an orangey, caramel kind of base look that the burns have. Now, as you see right here, this has actually been hit with a little mini blowtorch as a test. So I'm thinking once everything's done here, we're actually gonna hit the neck here with the torch as well as up here, try and get a nice actual char look. And I'm actually gonna be charring the coveralls with the mini blowtorch. I did a test and it works out pretty good from what I can see. So again, just lightly going back over the mask with the white, and if you get too much buildup, just wipe it away. Okay, so next up we've got our watered down yellow acrylic paint, and this is just an artist acrylic, nice cheap stuff, doesn't cost an arm and a leg, watered down. And what we're gonna do is just paint that over the mask and then dab away the excess, and that'll just leave just a bit of yellowing and kind of staining in amongst the mask. Now you can build it up on certain areas, including inside the eyes and whatnot. But just having it a bit sporadic works best for me, mostly in these areas here where it would collect, like grime and stuff like that. And also in the burns, having the yellow in here is going to help highlight everything and really bring the burn look together, because there are hints of yellow in there, as well as bordering on, you know, kind of like a khaki kind of look and also an orange. Now what I'm doing now is getting some unwatered down yellow paint and just going over the burns with it, and that is going to help build up our layering of the burns. Because if you do notice, and I do have a photo on my phone here of the screen used mask, the very base is teetering on sort of a yellow. So by having this, it's just going to help build up and layer those burns. So pretty happy with this side here after our washes, but this right here is going to be the base for our burns. Alrighty, now that I'm pretty happy with how all the washes have turned out, we're going to be using some heat. We're actually going to burn this guy. So this is a jet lighter I got from my tobacconist. I've never stepped foot into a tobacconist in my life, but there's a first time for everything. So again, this is a jet lighter. And as you can see, I've already done a test on the side there, and I love the results. It's the exact color that I was hoping for. So all that's left to it is just very lightly go around the burn areas, and you can kind of just do it a bit at a time and singe it till you meet that happy medium. And once that's all done, we're then gonna go back in and brush in by hand some blacks and browns to marry everything up and blend back into this side of the mask. All right, so next up, we're gonna start hairing this guy. Now I've already got a head start just to test out a proper glue. Now I've drawn up some lines with pencil for where we're gonna glue the hair in place. Now keep in mind, once we've finished gluing the hair down, I'm gonna go back in with the artist oils and just get rid of any bright areas like you can see right here. So I was going through what type of glues to use. Originally, I was gonna use this Gorilla Glue and it's horrible. It's not the best to use. I then was gonna use the Loctite Power Gel Glue, the Super Glue Power Flex. I just feel like I need something a bit more watery as this is a bit gluggy. It's more for vertical surfaces. So what I've finally settled on is the Loctite Super Glue Precision. Now, you know, usually I use the cheap and nasty Super Glue. That stuff sometimes leaves a white residue. And if you spend the extra money and get Loctite, you don't get that nasty white residue left over with this brand. So the hair I'm using is Merrin crepe hair. Now you guys saw me use this on the Halloween 5 bust, so it does need soaking and straightening. And the good thing is, this is a pretty small kind of project, but it is quite fiddly, so I am doing it in sections. So plan of attack is to run some glue on the actual line there. And I've got a silicone mold. Nothing wants to stick to silicone but silicone. I've got some glue there, but I've got to put some more there. And what I do is I soak the end that's going to be glued to the head in the glue. So it's all ready to go, and then just combined the two together and kind of smush it down. You can also use, I will use the edge of this silicone, but you guys can use silicone as well to smush it down because it's not going to stick to the glue that way. And then just work our way forward to the hairline. All right, I'm not gonna lie, that was absolutely and utterly fiddly and painful, but very happy with the end result so far. And I say end result, but the result of putting the base hair on. So he looks a little bit H2O-y at the moment, but what we're gonna do is we're just gonna grab a regular comb and just start brushing through. And as you can see already, I've already got a head start on it. We're just gonna thin the hair out because it is too puffy at the moment. Now, I do really dig how it's turned out here on this side. Like the glue residue has really blended in well with the melted side of the mask. That's fine. We do obviously have to chop the mullet off at the back here, but for the most part, I'm really happy with it, ghouls and ghoulettes. I'm really digging how it's looking. I figured I'd fuck it up and just go back to having the stock hair, but I'm really happy with how this is turning out.
Oh, you're so pretty.
Alrighty, next up, I'm just gonna grab some Gorilla Glue. So what this is gonna do is help us blend the hair into the forehead where the burns are. Kind of gives that nice, almost sheen. So you get a bit on a gloved finger, and you start to wipe it in. It just gives that kind of burnt, singed illusion. And after this, we're gonna grab some black acrylic paint with some liquid latex like I did in the Trick or Treat Studios mask rehaul. And we're gonna go back over it. But what this does is kind of just gives the appearance of melted hair, as you can see right there. And you can even do it on the ends of the hair right here. It kind of will just harden everything up. Beautiful. And it's like it's all chunked together and melted together and like hair would in a way. Now, whilst we're letting the head sculpt properly dry, we're gonna start work on the coveralls and the rest of the body. So I've got some black artist oil here, and that is just for going around all the seams and stuff like that where there'd be a lot of soiling, sweat and stuff like that. Now I'm also going to be mixing a burnt sienna and a classic white. These are just acrylic, student acrylic colors, and then we're going to go into the boots with those two colors mixed together. We're just going to lighten that burnt sienna just a little bit, go in amongst the boots to make it look like mud, and then wipe away the excess. Now keep in mind, I'm going to be hitting this side with a blowtorch and just vaguely up the side here, and then we're really going to hit it here. Now, as you can see, I've done a test there with a blowtorch, but you will see me doing it in action, and it just leaves that perfect charring. So you've got to keep in mind the Workrite coveralls that they use for the film are flame resistant, so it's kind of hard to make them properly burn, but this just gives the right effect. Now we also have our bullet holes here. We're going to be using a Dulux spray paint, just spray paint in a cup to do the blood effects of it trickling out of his coveralls and also down here. Now I probably will use this Artist Oil Black on his neck here, and I might see how it goes with using the jet lighter just on his neck, just so there's a bit of singeing here, because James U. Courtney does have like a half burned makeup at some point in the film when he puts his mask back on before the mob takes him down. So that's pretty much the plan of attack. Now, in terms of the hand, because for the most part it's going to be bandaged up, I'm pretty happy with the base skin color here, but I feel it could use, say, a brown artist oil and a bit of black, because his hands are really fucking gnarly in the film after the events of Halloween 2018. So I also am going to be using a real bandage. I'm obviously going to cut it down to scale, wrap it around and glue it in place, and I will make sure that the hand is still removable once it's all on there. And then we'll probably go back in with the black artist oil and just sort of dry brush the bandage a little bit, just so it looks a bit matted, a bit dirty and whatnot, and then get the pre-existing spray paint that we have in the cup for the bullet holes, and then stain the bandage as if his wound is severely bleeding through the bandage. I'm going to do the same for this hand. Oh, and also keep in mind we've got to do the blood effects on the cut here on his coveralls, but for the most part, enjoy this following montage of finishing this guy up. Now for the knife itself, it's pretty straightforward. We're just going to get that Dulux red that out of a spray can and go over the existing blood. And what that does, it gives us a mixture of what looks like fresh blood and dry blood. So no need to respray the blade or anything. Just keep it nice and simple and try and stay with the rhythm of the pre-existing blood stains. You can always go out a little bit more, but it just gives a bit more texture and a bit more depth to the original look. So I'm very happy with that. Nice and easy. There we have it, ghouls and ghoulettes. He is done and dusted. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was gonna screw this up big time, especially with the hair. I learned a lot about gluing stuff down to a piece like this. Very fiddly, but very worth it for the end result. I highly recommend giving this one a crack. The original figure on its own is beautiful, but the fact that you can convert it into a Halloween Kills look and have it look screen accurate, even better. So thanks very much for watching, guys. We are nearing the end of the spooky season, and I can't thank you guys enough for joining me along the way, but it doesn't mean the spooky stuff has to stop. Guys, wherever you are in the world, have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. I hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time, ghouls and ghoulettes, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.